Morning guys, just stopped out on a walk this morning. It's late December, so it's getting quite cold. It's just above freezing. It's probably that worst form of cold, 1 or 2 degrees, where it's damp, but the temperature's also quite low as well. So I'm just gonna put a hat and gloves on to keep a bit of heat inside me before I continue the walk. I want to talk to you today about alcohol-free beer. I'm filming this late December, just before the start of the new year. You know, traditionally a lot of people give up say a vice, something like alcohol, maybe trying to eat healthier, maybe try to go to the gym more. Alcohol-free beer is one that I've been drinking like in the last year. It's probably become one of my preferred drinks. And I'll talk about some of the health benefits of alcohol-free beer. Beer traditionally, say 100 years ago, was often used in ultra endurance sports. When you look at the first Tour de France's, with the first Giro d'Italia's, the riders would often drink beer, sometimes wine, on those ultra long rides. They were pretty grueling events, more so than they are now. When you look at the bikes, how basic the bikes were and how tough like the mountain climbs were, it was very grueling on the body, and they would need basically just a way of getting calories into the system. And beers, especially quite low percentage beers, would be a good way of doing that. Now, alcohol-free beer has the advantage. They've taken either all or most of the alcohol out of the beer. So what you're left with is this relatively good source of, say, sugar and starches. Now, compared to normal soft drinks, say like lemonade or cola, you have a lot more starch. Like basically cola or lemonade, the carbohydrates in it are just going to be all simple sugars. This is a beer, an alcohol-free beer that I quite like. It's called Bavaria, sold in the UK quite cheaply. You can pick up a 24 pack of these for less than £12. When we look at the nutritional information, per 100 milliliters, it has 5.8 grams of carbohydrates, and of which of that is sugars, is 3.1 grams. So roughly 60% of the sugar in it is like simple carbohydrates, and 40% roughly is more complex carbohydrates. So if you drink this, it's gonna, like if you're out on a hike like this is actually quite a good source of calories, a source of like just boosting your endurance. Quite interestingly, the German beer company Erdinger actually sell their alcohol-free wheat beer. They advertise it as an isotonic drink. Now, an isotonic drink can be any drink that has a balance of sugars, salts, minerals in the drink itself that will hydrate your body easier, quicker than just plain water. So Erdinger actually advertise, they sponsor a lot of sports events in Germany, around Europe, advertising their alcohol-free beer as not just like a beer replacement, but almost like as a sports drink in its own right. Now, for isotonic drinks, really you need to be doing quite a lot of like long endurance exercises before it really becomes worthwhile. If you're just going to do 5k run, you don't really need an isotonic drink after that. But it's quite interesting that companies like Erdinger are actually advertising these sort of drinks as like sports drinks rather than just a beer replacement. That's how I actually see alcohol-free beer. I don't really drink it as a beer alternative. I drink it as almost like a drink in its own right. It's just kind of like a malty, not too sugary soft drink. If I'm doing a day where like I'm working quite hard and know I'm probably not going to necessarily have many opportunities to eat like a substantial meal, this is quite good. If you're doing like a lot of DIY around the house, if I'm working quite hard on the car, I know it's going to be like a 6-7 hour job, like working on the car, these are pretty good meal replacements. Above just having starch and glucose in it, beer is well known for having a variety of different minerals in it. I mean, companies like this, Bavaria at least, I've not seen anything online that tells you like the mineral profile, the vitamin profile that's in it. But beer on its own has minerals in it, quite famously like vitamin B and the various vitamin B complex vitamins, they're in there. So you can pretty much rest assured there is going to be some nutritional benefit to alcohol-free beer. If your alternative is something like lemonade or cola, in my opinion, this is going to be better for you. One of the nice feelings that beer, I think, gives people that they sometimes mistake for the alcohol is, sort of, if you get to the end of the day, people drink a beer and there's almost like a satiating feeling, like just filling your stomach with carbohydrates are like a feel-good food. They do make you, feel good. It releases dopamine. People get to the end of the day, they'll drink a drink like a beer or alcoholic drink, and I think some of the physiological effects they're feeling aren't necessarily the alcohol itself. It's the carbohydrates. It's just putting something into your stomach that just before bed that kind of makes you feel nice and will fill you up. So I find you do get that feeling with Bavaria or any non-alcoholic beer. You kind of get that feeling as well. So rather than putting like alcohol into your system, which I mean, there's some research to suggest very small amounts of alcohol may be beneficial for the human body, but we're talking quite small amounts. Above and beyond that, alcohol is quite a negative on the human body. So alcohol-free beer gives you those benefits. I mean, if you're just about a day, if you're going for a long hike, especially if you're going to, like, in the UK, hiking in Wales and Scotland, long endurance hikes, the Lake District, etc. There's going to be quite a big benefit to taking something like this over just like plain water, or even over orange juice, because you're getting complex carbohydrates as well. You're getting there'll be vitamins and minerals in here as well. So alcohol-free beer, I think, has quite a negative reputation, certainly in the UK, probably in most of the Western world, maybe seen as a soft alternative. But when I drink it, I don't necessarily see it as a beer replacement in itself. I sort of see it as a drink in its own right. It's Erding have done the research. They're already out marketing it as a sports drink, so you can see it as a sports drink. You can see it as like a carbohydrate drink that you maybe want to drink at the end of the day to give you a satiating feeling. So if you're out there, if you're looking at giving up alcohol, or at least reducing your alcohol content for Lent, for the new year, I think alcohol-free beer is certainly a good way to go. You don't necessarily need to see it as a soft option. You don't need to necessarily see it as like a weaker alternative of beer. It's basically a drink in its own right. If you're watching this in June or July and you're thinking about reducing your alcohol content, don't wait for something like the new year. And if you think it's going to be a good thing to do in your life, if you think it's going to be a virtuous thing to do for yourself, just go ahead and do it. Don't wait 6 months until the new year starts. Just go ahead and do it, because if you think it's going to make you a better person, in my opinion, that's something you should do. You can check these out. They're readily available online. I get these delivered to my house. Less than £12 for a pack of 24. It's basically cheaper than most cola premium brands that you'll see in the UK. So that's just my thoughts and opinions today, guys. I don't really drink huge amounts of alcohol. I do drink alcohol. I think it's, if it's like a pub environment or a social setting, I see no problems with it. But I get most of my happiness in life for being out here doing things like this. I absolutely hate hangovers. If I get a hangover, I feel like my day's been completely... I'm not good with a hangover. Even with a mild hangover, I'm pretty much bed bound, and it really gets me down because I'll have wasted a complete day. I don't like doing things like that. This is the things I'm more into. Getting up, 5:30, 6 in the morning, putting the pack on, taking the dogs out, getting a walk in the woods, taking the bike out, going swimming, something like that. I find a drink like this is much more congruent with that kind of lifestyle than drinking, 5 cans of Stella or something like that, and wiping yourself out the next day. So if you like that video, guys, if you're giving up alcohol, reducing your alcohol content for Lent, drop me a comment in the comments below. I always like to hear everybody's story. And I'm going to carry on my walk now, try and wear these dogs out, and I'll see you in a future video. Thanks for watching, guys.